I'm Lucy Bartholomew. I'm a ultra mountain trail runner, and you're listening to the Physical Performance Show.
And the winner is...
Failure is not an option.
I've had my ups and my downs.
I think it's an absolutely breakthrough experience.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, the show designed to inspire the pursuit of your physical best performance. I'm your host, Brad Beer. Listen in as we delve into how the world's top physical performers achieve their success, as well as the highs, the lows, and the journey of getting there. Let's get ready, set, let's go. Listeners, welcome to another episode of the Physical Performance Show. I trust you've been having a great week, and I hope you've been enjoying pursuing your physical best. If it's your first time tuning in today to the program, a massive welcome. If it's your 88th time, then a massive welcome back, and thank you for the patronage of your ears. Listeners, this is the first of an ultra trail doubleheader that we're bringing to you. The first episode is Lucy Bartholomew, Australian ultra running champion, and the second episode or interview will feature the male equivalent, Brendan Davies, also Australian ultra trail running champion, and certainly well-known identity. So this is going to be a great double header, guys. I hope you enjoy the first episode, which is featuring today's guest, Lucy Bartholomew. Lucy is a young Australian who really is taking the world of ultra trail running by storm. In this episode, we explore Lucy's origins in the sport of ultra trail running, which has a really unique flavour to it, having started the sport at the tender age of just 16 when Lucy competed in the Surf Coast of Victoria Ultra Trail Marathon. Lucy was inspired by her father, and we speak about that today. Lucy's bio is impressive, and it is growing longer and longer. Lucy was the 2017 Ultra Trail Australia champion. We talk about that victory and what it meant to her in today's episode. Prior to that, Lucy had taken out the first junior in the Mont Blanc Marathon Skyrunning World Championships in 2014. We talk about that also in today's episode. Lucy also shares some funny anecdotes of training and her unique training philosophies through today's episode. She shares a funny story with ultra endurance king that relates, to ultra endurance king Killian, which I think you'll really enjoy. And listeners, at the time of this recording, Lucy had yet to embark on one of her major races for 2017, which was the Ultra Trail Cape Town race, a 100-kilometre race through the beautiful trails of Cape Town. And in classic Lucy style, she has taken the race win only a matter of weeks ago, where Lucy finished in a time of 11 hours, 21 minutes, 45 minutes in front of second place getter Robin Owen. It's another incredible achievement from this young, impressive Australian. I think listeners are going to really enjoy the personality that is Lucy Bartholomew. If you enjoy the episode, be sure to let Lucy know. But for now, let's jump straight in. Lucy Bartholomew. We have been working on getting this one done for a little while amongst schedules, so it's absolutely great to have you today joining us on the Physical Performance Show. I'm going to throw you something a bit fun straight out of the gate or off the starting line. What's one thing that scares Lucy Bartholomew?
What scares me? I'm probably going to say spiders.
And be specific. You're a trail runner. You must have encountered some good ones over your years so far of running trails around the world.
I have had some terrifying experiences. I'm normally, when I run with my dad early, I clear the webs for him. And I've had some encounters where I've gone through a web and then a little bit further along the trail, I've felt something moving up my back of my neck. And I'm petrified of it. So any web that touches me, I'm convinced that there's some creature still running around on me.
And that one that was running on you, did you ever see it or catch it?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think I squished it. I slapped my back of my neck so hard. So, yeah.
And would that, Lucy, rate as your scariest moment on a trail to date, or surely there's something that's been a bit more terrifying?
No, there's definitely been more terrifying things that happen.
Can we go there now?
Yeah, for sure. Probably the most terrifying was 2 years ago in Norway. I was running up on one of the ridges with Killian, who is one of the world's best runners and mountaineers. And this storm was coming, and he said, we'll just, cut down this 500-metre vertical ski slope back to the car so we can get back. And he didn't know that I'd never really run on such steep snow and was not a skier of any form. So I tried my best and then slipped onto my bum, and I was like, yeah, I've seen videos of people doing this. This is fine. But very quickly lost control. And I ended up getting second and third degree burns on my bum and my thighs and my quads, and getting to the bottom and going, that was fine, because I didn't feel any of it. And then I looked up the ski slope, and there was a big red blood trail. And, it turns out all my nerves had been frozen off. And so now I'm terrified of that race and those really steep snow slopes.
Goodness me. And what was did Killian see the outcome of this, Lucy?
Yes, Killian has it all on GoPro, because he was wearing a GoPro on his forehead, and he... Personally, he thinks it's quite funny.
And, Killian, if you're listening, we'd love to see this go on social, right, Lucy? And
I have told him that he is not to share this.
Oh, well, the wooing of the listeners might convince him otherwise. But, Lucy, Killian, massive name in the world of running, as you say, obviously, trails and ultras. How did your relationship come about with Killian?
I met Killian when I went to Chamonix at the Sky Running World Championships in 2014, out on a training run. And at that point, I was the fangirl and wanted a selfie with him. And now his girlfriend, Emily Forsberg, who is another fantastic runner, she coached me for 2 years. And, now we share the Salomon team, and I constantly am staying with him overseas and talking to him. So he's now become, I'm no longer so much of a fangirl and more of a friend, which is cool.
That's great. So talking about a fangirl, Lucy, you have your legions of fans. We've connected on the origins of getting you on today, and I've had numerous runners say you should get Lucy on, feature Lucy. But in terms of your fangirl moments, did you grow up? Let's do a bit of your origin story. You didn't grow up before the age of 15 dreaming of being a professional runner, am I correct?
Correct.
So what were you in those formative years dreaming about? What was a young Lucy Bartholomew's pre the age of 15? Because this is obviously where your days change directions. What were you dreaming of as a young girl?
I wanted to be president at one point. I wanted to be everything. I was like, a teacher, and then I was like, nah, I didn't like school, so I was like, well, it's not a great thing. And then I wanted to work in a zoo, and then I did work experience at a zoo, and I just shoveled poo for days, and I was like, this wasn't what I was imagining. I thought I was going to be cuddling baby tigers and stuff. I think that I never really wanted to be anything so much so passionately. I just kind of I was like, that looks fun, and that could be good, but nothing was really lived up to any expectation of what I got around to seeing.
And then at the age of 15, Lucy, I know it's well documented on numerous sources in the media, but and your fans probably know this. But at the age of 15, you watched your dad complete his first 100K event in the Blue Mountains. What happened? Tell us, put listeners in perspective there. What grabbed your attention that day?
So I trained with him in the lead up to this event, and went along to the event as his crew, his support. I think Dad just felt bad that I couldn't really participate, so he just thought he'd bring me along to carry his stuff around. And then I saw him off at the start line, waved him goodbye, and then it was like, well, I have anywhere between 12 to 16 hours now to just, what do I do? And I really wanted to go see him along the course, and it just been become second nature for me just to get to places was to run. So I ran along the course. I cut through sections to see him and got to the checkpoints, unloaded his stuff. He came in, told me how hard it is out there, and I was like, yeah, kind of, I've seen a bit, it's good. And packed up the stuff. He kept running. I ran too. And for me, it was a day that I didn't wear a watch or anything, but I'd say I clocked up about 60 kilometres. And I had a lot of people be like, oh, I saw you at the last checkpoint and now you're at this checkpoint. How did you get there? And I was like, oh, I ran. And they were like, wow, this 15-year-old girl with all the dad's stuff on my back and then my stuff. And, it was a really surreal kind of moment where I think people thought, okay, she's a little special. And, besides my own experience of running at that event, I think I saw what people were achieving. Being out there and on the course, I was watching people of all shapes and sizes, all ages, getting it done. Some were the elite, Brendan Davies just flying through the trails. And then you have the back of the packers who were just walking along, loving life, having a chat, eating a lot of food. And I was like, this sport is for me. How good is this? You just get to prance around the mountains. You can eat an absolute bucket load. And, at the end of the day, you're a hero for running 100 kilometres.
Yeah, so much there, prancing around the mountains. I mean, at that stage, you probably couldn't have imagined what the next 6-7 years would be like for you, right?
Oh, for sure. I didn't finish that event and went, this is I'm going to make this my life, and then looked online and went, I'm going to travel the world doing it. I was kind of this is enough, this is good, and I had no idea what was out there.
And so your dad, Lucy, this was his first, I believe, 100K run. So what was the attraction for your dad? Was he always running as you grew up as a little girl, or was your dad, just the sudden runner and wanted a big challenge and took on what then would have been the North Face? How did that start for your dad?
So my dad was always a runner. He did a lot of road marathons, and that's his way of when he was backpacking, it was his way of seeing the cities. He just went and did the main marathons. And then I think, to be honest, he got older and, getting faster became less of an option and more of work. So he thought, I'm going to stop doing the marathon whilst I've got some good times under my belt, and I'm going to go further, which means I can go slower and I don't have to work quite as hard in the training. So for him, it was more of just a step back in terms of expectation. He ran some cracking marathons, and I don't think he wasn't, it was hurting his ego too much to keep running that 42.2, so he just went further.
And that's such a great insight into your dad's world, because I know the popularity of trail running and sky running and things, I think that's a big driver of it, is this transition from people on the road to trails. I know, to give your dad some little bit of a comfort there, Lucy, one of the former episode guests, Steve Monaghetti, said he's on a PW world record, Lucy, which is every time he goes out and runs, Monas says he runs a personal worst.
Yeah.
But he's made peace with that. But, okay, so that was the origins of your dad taking it on. And so, Lucy, at 15, no dream of becoming a full-time trail runner. At the age of 16, you entered your first 100K run, once again with your dad, the Surf Coast in Victoria. So this is now your first bona fide ultra. How did that one play out for you at the tender age of 16, Lucy?
Yeah, so this event was, gosh, it was such a big dream for me. After seeing my dad finish the North Face 100, I was so keen to run 100 kilometres, and I copped a lot of criticism. It was put out that I was going to run the race, and, you know, and I got a lot of people be like, you're too young, you're hurting your body, it's bad parenting to let your daughter do this. You know, she can't do this, she won't do this. I had radios contact me, newspapers, magazines. And it was like a really kind of, you know, like I had to be really set on my decision to do it. And my parents, like, thankfully were, you know, whatever makes you happy and as long as you do it safely. So the Surf Coast Century, I started that race with the intention to smile my way through it and to pretty much just show give the middle finger to everyone that told me I couldn't. I'm one of those people.
Metaphorically, Lucy, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I would never. I'm one of those people that it's, you know, tell me I can't and I'll show you I can. And this is something that I think in ultra running is a really strong attribute to have to yourself. But yeah, I just ran that race. Like, I remember the first 20 kilometres, I went pretty gung-ho, as I always do. And Dad was just, you know, like 200 metres behind on the beach, and he was just like, Lucy, slow down. Like, this is, don't do this. And so then I slowed down and kind of ran with him, and then he went through a rough patch, but I was still buzzing, and we just kind of helped each other through, and it was a really pleasant experience, and I felt fantastic, and I really owe that race to being why I'm still running today. If that 100 kilometre had been a really bad experience and I had gone full gas and blown up at the 50 kilometre mark, I don't think I would be still running ultras, because I wouldn't have finished and gone, I can't wait to find the next one. I would have finished and gone, well, that was shit. Like, why? That was not worth that was horrible. But instead, it was just like a really great experience. I learned heaps. I met a lot of people, and I proved a lot of people wrong. And I think from that day, I feel like I've changed what people think that young people can do, and especially for females, which is really cool.
And a lot of the negative sort of comments and criticism, as you called it, Lucy, is largely driven by fear and concern and ignorance, right? And so you've certainly shown that years on the clock, while wisdom's required, isn't necessarily the determinant of whether you're ready to take the event on or not. I mean, I remember as a young triathlete receiving criticism, much less a scale, Lucy, but doing at the age of 11 a 1K swim, 30K ride, 8K run. It just wasn't done that an 11-year-old boy could do that. So
yeah, and it all comes from a good place, and I was very aware of that, and it was just... It was that people didn't know what I'd been doing, the training I'd been doing, the planning, the preparation. And I think that, I didn't just wake up and go, I'm going to run 100 kilometres tomorrow. I'd been training with my dad. I had a nutrition plan. I was, it had been a goal for a while. It wasn't just a dare or something. It was a big goal of mine. So, I'm thankful to have people around me who can really say, is that really the best in your best interests? And but I was pretty proud to show them all.
Absolutely, Lucy. I mean, things really took a meteoric rise, really, from there on in. I mean, just sort of chronologically going through here. The beauty of this, Lucy, is we've got a few years of chronology at this stage of your tender young years. The Simpson Desert Run, 250k multi-stage race. How did that one come about, and how did that one play out for you?
So I learnt about the Big Red Run waiting for my dad to finish the 6-foot track marathon in the Blue Mountains. They had a stand, and I was waiting for Dad, and I wasn't old enough to run the 6-foot track, so I was kind of a bit mopey to be at the finish line and watching all these ecstatic runners, as everyone else is. When you can't run, it's not the most pleasant. And I was speaking to the people at the stand, and they said, how old are you? I said, I'm 17. And, they said, we'd love to have you along. You can come and we can cover your costs, which was the entry fee. And that was obviously a big thing for me, especially being, just having a part-time job at a bakery. And so I pretty much gave them that I would be there. Dad finished the race and we were on the plane home, and I was like, so my next race is going to be in the Simpson Desert. It's 250 kilometres, 7 days. It fits great into my school holidays. It's just before VCE and, there's no problems, right? And he bluntly said no. And, he's that trusted attribute of mine where tell me I can't and I'll show you I can. So I picked up extra shifts. I booked my bus tickets into the desert, my airplane tickets to Brisbane. And, I was pretty set on going. I picked up a support ship from the North Face. I got all the gear under the sun to do it. Hammer Nutrition gave me some staff, and I was set to go. This led to Dad not speaking to me for 3 months. Because, Dad holds a grudge really well. And... so I left for the Simpson Desert. I had a fantastic time. I went in there. I remember finishing day one's marathon and crying in my tent going, oh, Dad's right, I can't do this. This is hard, la, la, la. And then day 2 got better. Day 3 got better. And then on the long day, the 80K day, I ended up finishing equal first overall. Yeah, so day 5 was the long day, and I finished that day hand in hand with first overall with another female, and we had an awesome experience running with emus, kangaroos, and just like classic Australian outback. So it was... it was a really cool experience. I got to the finish line. I called my dad, and even though he wasn't talking to me, he still picked up the phone. I think that for him, I was still standing. I was still smiling and laughing, and I had a great time. I got back and went to school the next day. And, I think that was kind of where it reassured me that ultra running is for me, and I'm probably someone who gets stronger as it gets harder. I might cry in the first bit, but I'll get there in the end, and I'll probably get stronger, which something in ultra running is it's pretty key.
So Lucy, I mean, you're juggling school plus your training. What did your training look like at this stage? I mean, that's remarkable. So what was your running week looking like at this stage?
I was running in the mornings, getting up, probably running 10 kilometres an hour in the morning, and then running after school to begin with. Just all easy. There was no uncomfortable running in there. And then on the weekends going away with Dad and really doing some longer stuff. As running became more of my priority, school became less. And this is something that I don't recommend anyone doing, but I was compromising my time at school by, taking some days to just run. I had spare periods because I only studied 4 subjects in the last year instead of 5. So I had some time off, which was meant for studying the other subjects, but for me it was spent running. Which, much to a lot of my teachers' dismay. So, I definitely probably didn't balance it super, super well, especially once I realised that this was something that I really wanted to pursue. I was kind of like, well, I don't need an enter score for that. So I'm just going to, just stop and give up that and just focus on the running. And, looking back, I'm probably like, I wish I'd not done that, but I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't put in the work that I put in then. So things happen.
Who was the most positive teacher, Lucy, at school?
My most positive teacher was probably my sport teacher. I had a good sports teacher who really was just loved loved hearing where I'd been on the weekends, loved hearing about the running, and probably was the one who got the most, I'd come to school after running a 50-kilometre race, and I'd tell my friends, and I'd be like, yeah, I ran 50 Ks, and they'd be like, why? And then it would be, or I'd be like, I ran 100 Ks, and I'd be like really proud, and they'd be like, oh, cool. And you'd be like, no, you don't understand. This is a long way. Have you driven 100 kilometers? No, because you don't have a license yet. But really, and that was one of the things that I think that as a young runner was I didn't have any idea how long these distances were. And from my dad, he was like, yeah, you'll probably bonk at 30 Ks because that's what everyone does. And I was like, okay, well, let's just see how, I'll just run until I get tired, and then that'll be my bonk. And because I didn't know how far 30 Ks was, I hadn't driven it, I hadn't cycled it, I was just so new to it. I wasn't wearing watches. I just went past that. And, it was not knowing these distances and not having any idea how long things should take was the key to having a really enjoyable introduction to trail running and ultra running.
So just not overthinking it, not overanalyzing, just going in quite ignorant and just enjoying what the experience would be. I mean, you must have bonked quite classically in a few of these early runs, Lucy.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And, and that all comes down to nutrition, which has never been something I've nailed on the run. And it's been just because I've just run on empty and used up all the fumes.
And do you mean you've never nailed on your running, even to date, even with your 2014 Sky Running World title and things? You still feel like you haven't nailed your nutrition? Did I hear correctly?
Yeah, still not nailed. I can guarantee you. I'm yet to have a race where I finish and go, hey, yeah, I've finished everything I carried. I followed my plan to a T. Still yet to come.
So, I mean, let's go there now. I mean, your plan to a T. I mean, what's your typical execution strategy for your nutrition over 100 Ks?
Ideally, I like to eat I should be eating every 30 to 40 minutes, and that's a gel. But, you do that for 100 kilometres. It's a lot of gels, and I'm not someone who loves the gels, but, there are other things. But I've been told by other people who have done really well at the long stuff, and obviously that's what's worked for them, is, 30 to 40 minutes just having something, whether that be in a longer race, it doesn't have to be as precise as a gel, and then something a little bit more solid going on to every 3 to 4 hours, being a bar or a banana or something like that. So, I don't know. I wouldn't even know what I meant to be doing, but I've never planned quite so specifically like that. I just normally go, I'll just, take a bite of something every 30, 40 minutes, but I've never done it.
And so, and that's just because you're in the zone, or is that just because you're just, not thinking about it, or just don't feel you need it at the time?
I used to run quite on a full stomach, so I'd always be like, well, I've got, 2 hours or 3 hours without having to eat anything to start with. And then kind of after that 3-hour mark, I find when I'm running, I just zone out and go into this meditative state where time just flies, and I'll look down and be like, okay, 3 hours, and then I'll look and it'll be 6 hours, and I'll be like, wow, that went really, really fast. But I won't have eaten, and it'll be until it's too late that I go, oh, I probably should have eaten something, and then at that point I don't feel like it, so because my stomach's just gone into chaos. And it's a downward slope from there.
And isn't this the thrill of pursuing, Lucy, your physical best performance? You always feel like there's more iterations, there's more, trial and error. And even at your elite level, it's probably refreshing for us all to hear that, look, there's still always room for improvement.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of room for improvement. I can guarantee you that you can always train harder, you can always race better and smarter and stuff like that. I think that that's the beauty of the sport, is that, every race is going to be different. You're going to learn something new. And I haven't finished a race where I've gone, that was awesome. I've always finished and gone, well, next time I'm going to do this.
Listeners, if you missed last week's episode, be sure to jump back and check out episode 87. It featured Emma Pallant. Emma picked up a silver medal in the World 70.3 Triathlon Champs in 2017 and has just had a barnstorming run of podium finishes across that distance in the world of international triathlon. It's a great interview where she takes us through the origins of her triathlon career, her first triathlon, her first 70.3. It's been incredibly popular. So if you missed that one, you're into triathlon or you're into performance, jump back over and check out that episode. And also, listeners, explore the archives. There are some great sharings from some incredible physical performers in previous episodes, and of course, the ever popular expert editions.
Yeah, so I actually started off with, it's kind of in the sprint Olympic type distance. So I went on from my first triathlon and just knew that kind of Michelle and Stu were the right people for me. So I went out to Australia for a real crash course in triathlon with them. And those couple of months in Australia were massively eye-opening. Most of all, Michelle kind of changed my whole run technique. So that was the major turning point for me, because before then I probably couldn't run 20-30 minutes without pain.
Listeners, if you also know someone that would benefit or enjoy the Physical Performance Show, it would mean the world if you would tag them in or share the episode through your smartphone or any other device with them. So thanks very much for your support, guys. It's fantastic knowing people are discovering the archives, and I really enjoy receiving messages about what you're taking out of those episodes. For now, let's jump back to Lucy's sharings.
Lucy, you said something that I just think is profound. You get stronger as it gets harder. You mentioned that, people recognise when you're on the Blue Mountains trails there as a 15-year-old running incidentally up to 60-odd Ks just chasing your dad around, that people realise there was something a little bit special going on here. Where do you, on reflection, believe that this innate getting better as it gets harder comes from? What's the driver?
Oh, I think that I would say that it comes from probably like my family. I've got two older brothers, and they are both very sporty, both very good, but they didn't have the endurance. They didn't have like that. They couldn't do things for a long time. And so I just was the one that kind of like would go when the conditions were hard, or I was the one that would do it for a longer period of time because I wanted to just like do something that was impressive to my dad and my mum and dad. I think it's that competitiveness that you get having two brother siblings, and as well as my dad he's the exact same. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and I think that Dad's always, he's always been tough. He's always pushing the boundaries, and he's a big inspiration for me. Still, he's why I started, and he's why I still run.
Yeah, beautiful. Are you Daddy's girl, Lucy?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely the favourite, No, I probably shouldn't say that.
Your Daddy's favourite daughter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Beautiful. No, that's great. Lucy, before we go into a performance round, let's just touch on a few more of your major races and breakthroughs. You were selected for the Australian team for the World Skyrunning Champs, of which you went over and took out the 2014 world title. What was that race like? And then what was the first thing you said to your dad after you took out that title?
So that race, it was awesome. It was my first time to Chamonix, France, and those mountains, I've returned so many times and they don't get any easier and they don't get any smaller. Like they're the real deal. The funny thing is that I went there early with the idea that I would train on the course, and that I did, but I actually trained on it in reverse. I, for some reason, didn't really read the profiles. I was like, oh, the names will be in French. I won't know the places I am, so I'll just, put it into my watch and follow it. So I was training on the course in reverse, thinking that I was running the right way. And I was like, yep, really confident. Like, I know this climb. Yep, this is a really cool descent. And then come race day, I was literally the one standing on the start line facing the other way going, what's everyone doing? And then, we ended up obviously racing the other way. And that kind of threw me, but almost in a good way, because expectations of what was to come had gone, but also was really it was really exciting. It was like, oh, okay, well, now that uphill's a downhill, and this is really cool. And I just went in there just going, this is so cool. Like, I'm in France in year 12. I'm representing Australia. Like, no one has any expectation of this country, so I'm just going to go have fun. And it was a really bad weather day, so the course actually got changed to finish with a downhill rather than kind of a slow climb, which suited me much better. So I ended up overtaking, I think, about 30 people in that last 7-kilometre downhill. And that put me, into the first of the juniors, which, looking back, it's a really cool thing. It's a cool thing to say, I have the title of Junior World Skyrunning Champion in 2014. But it wasn't so popular in the sport to have such young runners. And I think that race now would be super, super competitive. And I think I really owe my running to kind of stepping into the sport at the right time. And I think that you look back on my running resume and I've got all these this amazing resume to start off with, all these firsts and stuff. But it was kind of like, if you were a female and you started these ultras, you're pretty much guaranteed a podium position, if not a win. And nowadays you enter a race and it's like there is 20 women that can compete for the podium. And I think that, the women in sport, especially in ultra running, has grown so much, and there's now junior racing in Europe that is it's huge, and there's amazing runners that are getting opportunities to race around the world. So it was a cool experience. It made me want to continue mountain running, and it was a cool title to have, but I really think it was a good timing for me.
And I mean, there's a nice sense of humility there, Lucy, in your statements. I mean, the reality is, though, you've gone on to win some major titles of them. I mean, including the UTA, the Ultra Trail Australia this year, 2017, in the Blue Mountains, once again, a special place for you by the sounds of it. What would be your most significant accomplishment to date, Lucy? Which one would you rate as the most rewarding personally for you?
I would say, UTA this year was definitely something that I will forever smile about, and that will be, for me, it's the best day of my life so far. And it was cool because it was my 21st birthday. I had my brother crewing me. I had my dad, he was running behind me. I devoted a good 4 weeks to living up there on the course. It was just like I put my heart and soul into that race. And when the course got changed due to bad weather the day before, I remember being devastated because I'd kind of dreamed how this race would be. I've dreamed of this race. I can't believe I'd ever say that I was like dreaming of it, but I'd like pictured myself on these trails, like moving swiftly, smiling, and then ultimately winning on a sunny day. And then, I saw the race day forecast was rain and the course got changed, and I was like, well, if it's not what I was dreaming of, it's not going to happen. And I was took a little bit of a mental challenge for me. But as it was, you ended up double backing on some of the runners going the other way, and I had the most enjoyable final 20 kilometres with people singing me happy birthday and stepping aside, and just like they were so a part of this journey with me. And yeah, I'm scared to enter for next year because I'm just like, I don't want to touch that. Like that was beautiful, and it's on my 22nd birthday next year. It will always be on my birthday, so it's not like I can. Yeah, it's just I will never forget that day. And yeah, winning was cool and it was a great run, but it was so much more than that.
And Lucy, I didn't get from you after your World Sky Run title what your dad said. What did your dad say after the UTA victory? Did you beat him home, and what did he say?
Yes, I did beat him home. After the UTA, I think, yeah, do you know, like he didn't say much because I finished and then went home, showered, came back, and then watched him finish, and he was kind of like, well, I'm sure you want to go. And I was like, well, no, and he was like, how was your run? And it was good. And he said he'd been getting updates along the course, and he knew that I was having a good day and that it was going to be the day that I dreamed of. But he kind of said to me, I remember, because the plan was that after I finished, it was going to be like my party was going to be at the finish line. And I had people that had brought alcohol and food and were like, yeah, 21st, like you're going to get hammered now because that's what you do. I finished that 100K and I was like, man, I'm hammered enough. Like I'm done. I just want to see Dad. And we ended up getting Thai takeaway and watching MasterChef at our Airbnb. And I remember Dad saying to me there, he was like, I really think that you can make something of this. Maybe this can be your life, because for a long time he'd kind of said, I think it's great that you're running, but, Lucy, you're not when are you ever going to retire? And, all those dad things, like how are you going to make money, la, 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 blah, blah, things that I'm not thinking about. I just want to have fun and travel. And he finished and he said, Lucy, like, maybe you're good and maybe there's potential. And
That's it. What a 21st, one you'll never forget. And I mean, talking about making a career of it, you've got some great support now, some sponsors. Who's in your corner, Lucy, and how did these come about?
So I'm with, my main sponsor is Salomon, and they have been supporting me since I was, how old? Probably 16? No, 17? Maybe 18. Probably 18, actually. So when I was 18, they didn't want to sign me before I turned 18 because just a little bit, they wanted to make sure that I finished school and that running was what I wanted to do and stuff like that. And I was stoked that I didn't have a sponsor in year 12 with that pressure. And so they have been by my side since then, and I don't know any different. I love their gear and they work for me. I'm with Sunto for my watches, and that is in conjunction with Salomon. Cliff Bar came about in pretty much me I reached out to them, and I love their Cliff Bar. I love their values, their adventure focus, their organic values and the environment. And then I actually signed up to Labent Socks at the UTA 100 this year, and I met the guy who's brought it to Australia, and he gave me a pair the day before the race, and he said, just try them, let me know what you think. And I ended up wearing them for the 100-kilometre race. And he said he saw me standing on the start line wearing the socks, and he went, oh my gosh, like, what if this doesn't work? Like, she's starting 100 kilometres in some new socks. And he ended up going from checkpoint to checkpoint with a spare pair of socks that, in case I went, I got blisters, like, this is not good, he was there to be like, okay, that's fine, like, put these on, move on, like, thanks for the feedback, I can't believe you did that, you're an idiot. And yeah, like, finished the race, and he wanted to keep the socks I was wearing from the race, and I was like, wow, like, that, if you want to keep smelly, dirty stuff of mine, you're obviously a pretty cool dude. And so I signed with them a few days after. And then otherwise, that's kind of it in terms of my major sponsors. I'm supported by a lot of other people and companies, but they're my main ones.
Listeners, a quick break from Lucy. I trust you're enjoying Lucy's share-ins. Today's episode, as always, is lovingly brought to you by Pogo Physio. We exist to help you get back to your physical best following injury. We want everyone who walks through the doors of Pogo Physio to cross their physio finish line. What's that? Well, it's real simple. That's where we give you a high five. We tell you that you finished rehabilitation, you don't need to come back, and you're back to your physical best doing the things that you love in life. Listeners, we do this through traditional session-to-session treatment, but also some very unique treatment delivery models, such as our fixed fee, unlimited access, that's right, unlimited access, 2, 6 and 12-week finish line programs, which include hands-on therapies, remedial massage, physiotherapy, and unlimited access to state-of-the-art rehabilitation equipment such as the Alter G anti-gravity treadmill, run-in machine, and also clinical Pilates and other exercise modalities. In addition to this, listeners, we have recently introduced something that's been enormously popular, and that is the Wellness Booster Packs. These are low monthly fee access to services such as exercise-based work, Pilates, and manual therapy such as massage and physio. These boosters, guys, start from a low $195 a month, including massage, physio, and clinical Pilates and use of the state-of-the-art equipment we have at Pogo. So listeners, if you'd like more info, jump over to pogophysio.com.au and get yourself back to your physical best. For now, let's jump back to Lucy Bartholomew.
Lucy, on today's Instagram post, you actually posted something that said you learnt somewhere that how you spend the first 30 minutes of your day sets you up for your day, how your day will go. And so you're starting this month at the time of this recording, November, with that in mind. Where did you learn that from, and what do your first 30 minutes of your day entail?
I think I read it in a book that was kind of about, I can't remember what book, but it was a book about, making the most of living in the moment and making the most of every day. And, one of those spiritual deep books that I occasionally pull out. What was the second part of the question?
And so what do your 30 minutes, what does your first 30 minutes of your day entail?
Well, today was really good. I got up after 9 hours of sleep, which was like so good, and went for a 30-minute run, came back, made an epic smoothie, and did some work, and then I just have been to the gym and come back from that. So it's been that wasn't in 30 minutes. Hang on, let me start that again. I went for a 30-minute run, so that was kind of my 30 minutes. After that, it went on. It was still going up from there. It was still good.
After the run, who cares, right? Who cares?
Yeah, totally. That was like the 30 minutes. That's awesome.
Exactly. You can't get any better. You mentioned the gym. You mentioned the gym, Lucy, and we touched on that before we pushed record. But how often are you in the gym? Put listeners in perspective what you do in the gym when you're there.
So I try to get to the gym 30, I'm still thinking about 30 minutes, 3 days a week, being Monday nights, Wednesdays and Fridays. And there I'm doing, look, it's not super specific stuff. I just like to go and play around. I am getting someone to write me a program so that I can be a little bit more specific and probably a little bit more time efficient, because I kind of go there and spend a lot of time not doing a lot, more talking to all the people there. But I'm doing a lot of kind of deadlifts, which is something that I had a little bit of a problem with my hamstring, and that's just like changed my world. Squats, lunges. But then also kind of just strengthening the back and the core. I'm a really big believer in core work. I do try to do that every day. But I'll go to the gym to do specific stuff, and if I need to be in a different environment to get it done. But I do a lot of stuff just at home, things that you don't need equipment for. And so I would say that I probably do strength exercises every day. Okay, let's go 5 to 6, maybe 7 times a week if it's a good week.
Yeah.
Not to make anyone, like, I don't want to make people feel bad and feel like they need to be doing that, because I don't even do that. I don't want to, yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much, it's just a mixture, and it's merely because I might have like a rest day or a day off. It's just something to fill some time.
And your core stuff at home, Lucy, that might take you, 5-10 minutes or 15 minutes?
Yeah, I got really keen at one point and I was doing 30 minutes. And yeah, so I do a set amount of exercises for a minute each. So if I'm doing 15 minutes, it'll be 15 exercises, 1 minute each. And I have a video on my Facebook page of all the 30 exercises I was doing. And nowadays it's more like 15 minutes, and I'll just pick 15 and do those. Yeah.
And listeners, we'll tag that up in the show notes. So jump over the show notes and we'll tag that up from Lucy's Facebook page so you can check that out. Lucy, let's do a performance round. You ready for this? Some rapid fire questions. Here we go. It's your interval session for the day. Lucy Bartholomew, training session you most dislike?
Anything with speed.
Nice.
Probably the short speed. I would say 1 minute on, 1 minute off.
Training session you most love?
Oh, long, slow runs.
And when you say long, just to clarify, we're talking how long?
Oh, I love I'm really good up to like 3-4 hours.
Okay, so 3-4 hours. Great. Favourite pre-race meal?
Pre-race meal? Oh, just watermelon.
Watermelon. Bedtime typically is what?
Oh, 9:30. I'm a party animal.
A party, wild. Morning, getting up. What time do you get up?
6.
6 a.m. Who's the athlete, Lucy, you most admire and why?
Can I be lame and say my dad? Like, that's super lame. But yeah, my dad, because he's pretty inspiring to be doing what he's doing at his age. If I have to do someone who's a little bit more elite, I guess, would be Emily Forsberg. Whilst she's my coach and my friend, I still feel like she's just amazing.
Yeah, and your dad being that's super cool, Lucy. That's awesome. Toughest competitor you've ever raced against and why?
Oh, probably, I don't know. Oh, God, it's rude, but I don't know her name. She's a Russian lady. I raced in the Mont Blanc 80 kilometre this year. We battled it out for 80 kilometres, and for the last 7 kilometre downhill, we just chased each other, and then we ran through Chamonix streets pretty much 10 seconds apart for second and third. And yeah, we both really ballsed out on it, and it was I was really impressed because I thought, I'm always pretty strong in the back end, and she just pulled through, so I was pretty impressed by that.
Is there a mantra that you use when you race, Lucy, or when you compete? Anything that you regularly self-talk to yourself?
Yeah, so I have a tattoo on my right wrist that is a symbol of Hakuna Matata. So it means no worries. And, it's kind of something that I always repeat to myself. You know, if it's a bad patch, no worries. If it's a good patch, no worries. Like, if it's a hill, good. If, just like, don't put too much emphasis on anything.
Excellent. Your best recovery tip?
Eat and sleep. And eat good food.
And if you want to know what good food looks like, jump over and check out Lucy's Instagram gallery. You'll see what good food looks like. We'll tag that up, listeners. Your worst injury to date, Lucy?
Touch wood, I've been pretty lucky with injuries, but probably those burns in Norway set me back a fair bit.
Which we'll get to see the video of. One word to describe your racing style.
Fun. I think that most people think she's having too much. Like, I got told once that if you talked and smiled less, you'd probably run faster. And I went, I think you're so wrong. I think that racing to me, it's just a lot of fun, and it's a means to train for. Like, if I didn't race another day in my life, I'd still be running. So, yeah, just a whole lot of fun out there.
How would you describe being in the zone?
I would say it's a meditation. For me, if I'm in the zone, it's my version of meditating.
And when was the last time you were in the zone?
Probably like my last race in China.
Last race in China. What's the silliest thing you've ever done when running?
Probably worn new socks on my biggest race of my life.
Yeah. Now a faithful sponsor. What's the weirdest place you've ever run in or at? Where's the weirdest place?
The Gobi Desert in China.
And Lucy, you're nearly out of the performance round. What's the hardest training session you've ever done?
12 by 1K repeats.
Ooh.
With a 2-minute recovery.
Ooh. And put listeners in perspective, were these on trails or on the road?
No, this was pounding the pavement. It wasn't pretty.
Lucy, well done. You're at a performance round. Lucy, in terms of your bucket list, what's on your bucket list, both in life and in sport, in trail running?
I think in life, on my bucket list is that I want to write a recipe book. I've been wanting to do this for probably 2 years now, and it's just about finding the time, finding the money to do it the way I want to do it, and kind of pulling all the pieces together. In running, keep traveling, keep seeing the world. I want to get to places that are a little bit like off the beaten track and just keep meeting really cool people. I just want to keep sharing it with everyone and
And there's no dream race, Lucy?
I would love to run the Hard Rock in America. That is really hard to get into. It's 100 miles through the San Juan Mountains. So maybe one day.
And Lucy, your love of food, where does that come from? I mean, not only your love, but also your skill. I mean, what you put on Instagram is fantastic. Is that just something you've always enjoyed?
Yeah, my mum was a good cook. She got me into the kitchen young, but it wasn't until she actually moved overseas and that I was the cook with 3 boys in the house that I was like, I need to step up my game and learn some things. So I took to the internet, and that's where I really found a passion for kind of exploring and failing, but also kind of like working it all out. And then going plant-based has been, a challenge, but also a real eye-opener to what you can create.
And Lucy, in terms of your training at the moment, I mean, what's a typical, you shared, around some of your training as a young girl. You're still a young girl, Lucy, but, in your 21, 22, 21, I think at the moment. Is that correct? 21 years?
21 years.
As of the date of recording.
Yes.
What's your current training look like? Training volume, training week?
So I'm currently training for the Ultra Trail Cape Town 100-kilometre in South Africa, and I've kind of left a little bit late with my training, but I've got 4 weeks to kind of get myself fit and pull in some kilometres. So at the moment it's 2 speed sessions a week, 1 double day, 2 long runs, and 3 cross-training sessions with a rest day.
And your total volume might be what? How many Ks a week on that?
Kind of looking at 120 to 150 kilometres a week at the peak. But, yeah, like I feel comfortable running around 100 to 120. That kind of like I feel like that's a balanced amount. Any more than that, and I feel like it's my life. It's really consuming.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you've identified that. Lucy, one bit of advice for listeners looking to pursue their physical best performance of everything you've learnt to date in your career. If you could issue listeners with just one bit of advice, what's it going to be?
Don't take it too seriously. I think that if you can make it fun, if you can enjoy it, and if you can share it with some cool people, if you can go to some cool places, you'll get the best out of yourself because you'll be happy. And I think that it's the minute that it becomes not about having fun and not about good things that bad things will happen.
Beautiful. And talking about fun, the last question, Lucy, if you could have dinner with 3 people, living or past, who's at your dinner table and why?
David Attenborough. David Attenborough and Serena Williams. I think she's amazing. And probably my brother who lives overseas.
Beautiful. And why David Attenborough?
Because one, I find his voice super soothing. He'd probably put me to sleep at a dinner table. But also he's just been to some really cool places and seen some pretty cool things. So yeah, it's pretty unreal.
And you've got one brother at the table, your other brother?
Oh, he's always at my dinner table anyway, waiting for food. So this one misses out a lot, and I would want to catch up with what he's up to.
Brilliant. There you go, boys. Don't feel left out. Lucy, this next 6 months, you've got Cape Town coming up. We wish you all the best for that. You're an absolute talent. Just want you to issue listeners with the physical challenge for the week. So what's Lucy Bartholomew's challenge for the week going to be?
I'm going to challenge you to wake up early, preferably like just as the sun's rising, but that might be pushing it, and go outside. Go outside for a walk, a run, a sit, a swim, whatever you want to do. But wake up with the sun. It's pretty amazing, the feeling that and the energy that you can get from that.
Beautiful. And listeners, if you take on Lucy's challenge, be sure to jump over and let Lucy know, and myself on social. I'm at Brad_beer. Where can listeners find you, Lucy, on social?
Listeners can find me on Facebook at Lucy Bartholomew, Instagram Lucy_Bartholomew, Strava Lucy Bartholomew. And that's about it. Soon to be YouTube, but yeah, hang tight for that one.
Come on. So we'll tag all that up, listeners, in the show notes. So jump over on that and do let Lucy know how you go with that physical challenge. I'll take that on, Lucy. Nothing like being up as the sun rises. Lucy, closing out today, you get to tag one athlete, one runner, one performer for an episode of the Physical Performance Show. So this can be anyone that you think would be interesting to hear from. Who are you going to tag, Lucy?
I would tag Mael Backhausen, who is a Australian Salomon runner. Yeah, he's got a super deep spiritual way of looking at running. He's very, very informative. And he is currently coaching me. So, yeah, I'd be interested to hear from him.
All right. Well, let's see if we can make that happen. Lucy, you're a delight. All the best for the upcoming remainder of the year and then beyond.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So there you have it, another episode of the Physical Performance Show. I trust you enjoyed today's episode featuring Lucy Bartholomew. And listeners, we're going to do a double header. So after Lucy, we're catching up with Brendan Davies. Brendan is, I guess, the preeminent male Australian ultra trail runner, and we thought it would be a very good bookend to today's episode with Lucy Bartholomew. So you'll have to stay tuned for Brendan Davies coming up next week on the Physical Performance Show. If you enjoyed today's episode, then be sure to let both Lucy and myself know. You can tag us in on social media. If you'd like to refer to the show notes, listeners, be sure to jump over to pogophysio.com.au. Listeners, if you'd like to get the Physical Performance Show in your ears, then be sure to hit subscribe from within your app, and also consider leaving a review. Reviews help the Physical Performance Show become more audible and be enjoyed by more people who, just like you, are looking to pursue at their physical best. To leave a review, guys, it's really simple. Jump over to iTunes on your desktop. It can't be done from a smartphone, and rate away. A big shout out to someone that recently left a review for the Physical Performance Show, and that's Rebecca Newman. Rebecca commented, "I absolutely love performance, especially in sport and business. It's awesome to hear the backstory behind the athlete. As I think, like in business, often we forget about the training, which goes into great performance. Particularly love episode 3 with Olympian Emma Moffat, where she talks about dark days. This totally transcends to business. Great podcast, Brad. Kudos to you. Rebecca, thanks very much for the 5-star rating and for taking the time to leave the review. It certainly speaks to my energy levels in bringing the podcast each and every week. So a massive thanks. And listeners, please, if you're enjoying it, that'd really help if you'd leave a review once again over on iTunes. A big thanks to the great folk who make this show possible each and every week. That is Daryl Misson, our audio engineer extraordinaire, Sophie on all things administration, and Matt on all things graphic design. Thank you, guys. Lastly, listeners, if you're into running, you can now pick up your copy of my Amazon running and jogging bestseller. You can run pain-free. It's available now on Audible and also iBooks, so you can listen on the run. And of course, it's available in the good old trusty paperback version via Pogo Physio or Amazon. Also available in Kindle and shipping internationally. Listeners, be sure to tune in next week for the Ultra Trail doubleheader featuring Australian ultra running champion Brendan Davies. Until then, keep pursuing your physical best. I'm Brad Beer, and this has been the Physical Performance Show.